And Africans, working class Africans are wear green and orange. And you say, but hold on there, we don't get nothing out of this. We're not just partisans,
Yes.
But most people realize this is politics. And Rastafari get it right from long time. That bourgeois electoral politics is really politics. That's a political trickery game. And it's a way to legitimize the rule of the minority in society to say, yes, the people did vote for their masters, so it's all right. Unlike China, where the people don't vote for the masters them will. But it's the same from whether it's in China, Cuba, United States, Sweden. Minority rule is the norm.
We have a very special guest in studio, Brother Clifton Barrett. And, you can just tell what's happening here because we've scheduled the program in the way we normally schedule the program, but I'm not quite sure how we're going to manage the program this morning, but we're going to do our best. Let me welcome to the studios my brother, candidate in the upcoming general election representing West Central St. James, President General of the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party, our brother Clifton Barrett. How are you doing, my brother?
How you doing, my sister? First thing, let you get more accurate for me. It is Clifford Barnett.
It is
Clifford Barnett.
I'm just telling you, I'm reading from the paper here, and we're going to have a talk tomorrow. Okay. So, brother Clifford Barnett is in the studio with us, and it's a shame, and I really do apologize because I do know your name. That's the thing. All right, so President General of the Marcus Garvey's People's Political Party. A background to that, because the party has been around for a very, very long time. So give us a little history. Put it in context for us.
Okay. I've been around from 2003. Yeah, the first time when we rekindled the party and I run in election. I run for St. James, West Central St. James. And there's a guy by the name of Sepidas that run for in Limstead, and there was Todd Dossard that run in Inverness.
I do remember that, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So from that time until now, we keep pressing on, Mm-hmm. Some people drop out, and I am the one that keep the party moving all the while.
And this is not your first time around in terms of contesting the general elections?
My third time contesting the general election and 2 times in the local government election.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's different this time?
Well, this time I see a lot of things that changing, because once the members were enthusiastic to run, but now I see a breakdown, But I'm the one that keep pressing on.
What do you think is responsible for that breakdown? Do you think it's apathy? You've contested it so many times, the support is not necessarily there?
Well,
I don't want to put words in the mouth.
No, I know, but yeah. I won't try to disclose certain things still.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party must keep its trend and keep on going on, because this party is the original party in Jamaica, the mother party for all party in Jamaica, and a lot of respect is due to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I am the one that keep on saying these words times and times again. When members are falling short, I keep on pressing on, Mm-hmm. And this time around, I wasn't going to contest election this time around. But the youths, them keep telling that Barnett should go in election. Mm-hmm. So I would say big up to the independent candidate, the 9 independent candidates. I would like to meet all 9, so we can discuss things and get the party more acquainted to the people,
mm-hmm.
Because...
So you're saying that there is, if as far as you're thinking, there might be a plan in place to bring the independent candidates under one umbrella?
Right. I'm thinking about that.
Mm-hmm. And you haven't had any discussions with them yet? You're saying you'd like to get together with them?
Well, I don't have a discussion with them as yet.
Mm-hmm. How feasible do you think that is?
I think it could be good, because people are searching,
Yeah.
So I think that is good, and
Well, let's talk about the party now. And everybody's talking about manifesto. Are you using the blueprint, the blank print of Mwalimu, and how are you tweaking it?
Well, the manifesto for the party, I will continue with what Marcus Garvey has set and the role, where the world know about that manifesto, and some have been implemented by Michael Manley already. So we will put in whatever effort we can to make what Marcus Garvey has said be possible.
Mm-hmm. What are some of those?
Land reform. Manley have implemented 8 hours working schedule already. So a lot more. We're in like what I said before. Mm-hmm. Many people know the manifesto of Marcus Garvey.
And let's talk about your constituency now. That you're running in. What is the situation there? What's the response to? You said the youths are asking you to run against. I suppose it's the youths from your constituency you're running in.
The crime rate is very intriguing to the people in my constituency.
Even West Central, St. James. Does include where?
Monsalem. I'm living in Monsalem. And across Bogue, Granville, Tucker, and those places, Even right now in the studio with I is a youth being abused by the authority, which is a soldier beat him almost to death right here with me.
Wow. When did that happen?
He can give you a definition, the time and thing. He's right here with me.
What's your name, sir?
Greetings, Radio World, Jamaica at large, and to Kabu and IRFM in respect. My name is O'Shea Richard. I am a BMI publisher, also Mr. Clifford Barnett, not myself alone. I'm an artist, and I'm a brand ambassador on Amazon, and I have a knowledge in this community and this country. Mm-hmm. One evening going home from work, Mr. Clifford Barnett and I are welders in the local area that we work. So I was going home from work where I was stopped by the Zozo. Zozo are the persons who do things in the evening when people are going home, like stop vehicles and do their regular things. But respect to them for their work still. But there was an incident which I was caught up into, which I want to further understand. Why is it that when you look at the force as an innocent person and you be the victim and you can see the innocent person being approached and disrespected and being abused like that? We as country and people of this country have to really take these people that you put into the force to do certain work seriously, because they are doing things to innocent people, and we need to look at that as a...
So you were going home from work with Brother Barnett, and you said you enter the area where was also the
zone that special operation.
Zone that special operation.
Yes.
What happened when you got there?
They stopped me and they were questioning me about my national identification card and things like those, and said that there was a gunshot in the area, and I am the one that is dressing in the appearance of the person they were searching for.
And Brother Barnett, you were with him at the time?
No, not exactly. I was at my home when I get the call that this issue.
But you're working in the same field,
right?
You left work at the same time,
right?
Which is welding,
yeah.
And you're home now, and he's continuing on his way home,
yeah.
And so you met these also officers, and they asked you you say you look like somebody who a description of somebody who fired a shot.
Yes, madam.
And they ask you for your ID.
Yes, madam.
And then when them asked for your ID, what happened?
I didn't have it at me. It was at Mr. Clifford Barnett premises, because my change was there, so I would have to bring them to his compound to retrieve that information.
And how far away was that? Like near?
Very close.
Very close.
Yeah.
All right. So and you told them you've got your ID, but it is at Mr. Barnett's premises.
Yes, madam.
And what happened?
Well, they beat me inhumanly. They boxed me. They put me on the ground. They stepped up on me all over. You know the activity of these member of those type of team. They will do you like that, and then nothing come out of it. These are what we have been
So what happened?
encountering.
What happened to you? How badly were you beaten?
Very, very badly, which I was encouraged to write, even to the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party, which the RCGBS, the Rastafari Karagan Benevolent Society. I am a member of that society also. At that time, I was acting as a secretary for Western Thoughts. They didn't know me. They just see me, judge me for a man firing gun in the era. I was coming from her. I don't know nothing about that, officer.
And you're a Rastafari?
Yes, madam, because I go to meeting and I pay dues and I have a knowledge of what is going on in the society.
Were you hospitalized?
Well, in that instant, I didn't went to hospital because I wasn't abused like that to receive cuts to go to hospital, but I was traumatized, and it can have a mental impact if I think about it like that.
Well, and what came out of it? What's the?
Well, nothing as yet, but Mr. Newman, I was working for him at that time. I sent the written information of what happened to me on his platform because I, in my position, was a WhatsApp group, which, you know, when you're working with people like that, they would have put you into group and tell you what to do for them. So I was working under that type of leadership.
So there's something that is being done, and it seems to me, Brother Barnett, that the RMO might be also an organization that should be contacted on this.
Well, that never come to their knowledge at that time.
Okay.
You know, because when that incident happened, the RMO wasn't that active at that time.
Okay. But you brought this up for a reason. You're saying that this is happening in the zones of special operations. What would the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party do differently when it comes to crime? And you say this is a major problem in St. James West Central.
Well, crime, it's all over, you know. You know, and I think the government should, whichever government come in place now, should take a special move towards reducing crime. Because when you look, there are a lot of things that going on, you know, and people are targeting people, you know, who they don't like. It's just like in Israel against Gaza. That's what I'm saying, but it's more quiet than there, but people are dying. You know, a lot of youths are traumatized right now because right in my era, youths are saying, boy, they don't know what going to happen after this election and who next going to die and all kind of things. So the youths are nervous right now to in my community. You know, to where I can understand. You know. So,
if you listen to the two main political parties and especially to the governing party, you'd think that crime is down so low, and it's just going to trend lower.
That is just a face card, you know, to get the people them out to vote, especially the young youths them. That is just a face card. And the millions of dollars what them spending right now, them go want it back after election. I know that. That's what them did all the time. You know? So right now, that is the reason why I want to incorporate the other 8 in independent candidate to see what we can do, you know, to especially save the youths them. Because they are the future.
In the meantime, you are contesting the election. You're on the ballot for Wednesday. What would you want your constituency, the people in your constituency to know?
To do?
To know.
Well, I'm here, you know, to defend them. So whatever them problem them have, come to me, because right now in the process of rekindling my elder council. I did it in 2017, but it didn't take any root. So I'm asking the people in my constituency to
But why should they vote for you?
Why? Well, I think that I'm the man for the job. You know, I'm the man for the job. Because right now I have in my kit the 9 acts that govern the universe, which is economic, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and war. So I can give them a basic from all these 9, you know, to bring them life to a human standard, because people are confused, people are traumatized all over, you know.
And we're out of time, and so I'm going to give you a final word, but also to ask you if you're paying attention to what's happening in the Caribbean, South Caribbean, Sea, in the Caribbean waters, read the amount of warships that are now gathered there, sent by the United States, and also what's happening in Guadeloupe with France sending in another warship, and what's your own thinking on that?
Well, no. We are in World War III, you know, cyber war, you know, and I mean, Africa is on the rising, and all its enemies are going down as we speak. So, you know, having power over the world for a long time, you know, for them to lose grip off of the world, it's going to be something serious.
Jamaica is leading CARICOM now. Should and with the current Prime Minister as the head of CARICOM, should CARICOM say something about this?
Sure.
What should they say?
Well, they should consider that we need a crown, and the crown cannot be Britain, the British crown. It must be an African crown, you know?
Wait, thank you so much, my brother. I'm sorry that the time is so short, but I'm giving you a final word.
What I would like to do is I would like to big up some people. The people, Jamaica, people of Mount Salem, the Asian people, Cuban people, DRC, Congo people, Gaza, Palestine people, Venezuelan people, Colombian government people, Nigerian people, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, the NFAC, Black Panthers, women, men, and children in prison, our human rights advocate, Center of the Constitutional Rights, all people struggling for justice. Also the Mali people, Leonard Owell family, Garveyite people, yeah man, and a special big up to the brethren in a Kampong town, you know, Buzzrock. Yeah man, Edgington Newman from Tads. Yes.
We're totally out of time. I'm going to have to leave it there.
Okay.
But I'm getting big up, be sure.
Right.
Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much.
Right.
And keep
thank
strong,
you
my
also, madam.
Yeah. Stop calling me madam.
You're such a nice daughter.
The Cashbot a bubble up. Bet $100 or more on your Cashbot number and the same amount on the Mega Ball for a bigger win. The more you bet, the more you get. Double up your Cashbot bet today. The time is
now a minute after 8 o'clock, and because the time is going, I see my virgin are walking, you know, this is wonderful. Come hungry right us, you know, because a lot of time, I say, I find him I come from, and when people are come from, oh, got my wife, I don't understand this thing, you know.
Wow,
yeah, man, this is Dr. Devon Taylor. This is a private joke between me and him. When we said Dr. Devon Taylor, it is a private joke. Thank you so much, Clifton. Yeah, welcome, Devon. So good to have you in the house. You've heard me asking about the 2 candidates who are in just now about their thinking on what's happening in the Caribbean waters. The Prime Minister hasn't said anything. The leader of the opposition hasn't said anything. No member of Parliament or otherwise. We know Parliament disbanded and all of that, but it looked like everybody gone on recess. And so nobody is paying attention to what's happening right in our back door. Very interesting. Journalism has failed on this one. I see where there's some, I think the Gleaner has come from behind today with an editorial, which I agree with wholeheartedly. So read the Gleaner's editorial. I kind of just came through it. So if you see anything where you say, how she agree with that, call me upon it or write me upon it, and I'll just double check. But I kind of just glanced through the editorial in the Gleaner this morning, and yes, they are. They seem to be writing about that. Just now, actually, online, I saw that. But there is something very serious happening in the Caribbean waters. We're going to come back to that before the program has ended. Let me just quickly tell you about the IRFM's 35th anniversary celebrations. That's ongoing. IRFM 35 will feature a series of celebrations, including another major event on Sunday, September 14, 2025 at Little Ochi Seafood Restaurant in Alligator Pond, Manchester. The first major event was held on August 1, you'll recall, the actual birth date of IRFM at Kaya Drax Hall. The celebrations will feature live performances from Bushman, Luton Fire, Sativa the Black One, Shakespeare, among others. On August 1, 1990, the late Carl Young launched IRFM, the first all-reggae radio station, revolutionizing Jamaica's music landscape and elevating reggae on the global stage. 35 years later, IRFM continues to be the leading voice of Jamaican culture, proudly promoting reggae music while keeping listeners informed with news, sports, and entertainment. IRIE, Innovative Radio for Information and Entertainment. So innovation is the first word in IRIE. So 4 minutes now after 8 o'clock. Thanks so much to Brother Desmond, who came to the Garbage Tribute and gave me the Tambi's jam. And me tell you something about taste it last week. Well, me taste it now. It's very nice, tangy and tasty and lots of energy. So love it, Brother Desi. So Dr. Devon Taylor is in the house. I'm just coming in from foreign. And but pull on your mic a little. All right, because I see that is a little bit high. So we're going to talk a little bit about the work of JABEM and the challenges, but also, more importantly, the gains that are being made and what we are to look out for. So Dr. Devon Taylor, of course, is a senior biomedical research scientist in immunology working in the biopharmaceutical industry in the United States, but he's a founding director of JABEM, Jamaica Beach Right Environmental Movement. So that's a whole other thing. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. When we want to talk about vaccine, we give him 3 hours, but now about 45 minutes, all right? Dr. Devon Taylor, welcome, sir.
Give thanks.
How was the trip coming in?
Yeah, man, the trip was smooth. You know what I mean? Airport ram up, look like.
Well, people are coming on the board.
Yeah, I mean.
This is not tourism, I say. This is the election.
Exercising their constitutional right to determine the future, you know?
I'm telling you. All right, which is good news from a far country, if you will. Devon, so much though, as the election rages on, there's some things that remain constant. No matter who win election, it doesn't matter when election, it really doesn't even matter a whole lot of stuff relating to politics and, partisan politics, because these issues remain constant regardless of what's happening around us. And one of that has to do with land access to the beach, access to water. And this is where JABEM comes in. You have been leading JABEM in some wins, some gains, and a lot of challenges.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk us through some of those.
Yeah, so just greetings to all of the ones them really who have been supporting JABEM over the last 2.5 years. And everyone across the nation by now know why an organization like this had to come into being, because of the dispossession, because of the displacement, and because of the disempowerment of Jamaicans from their beaches, primarily to support a tourism product that does not benefit the Jamaican people at scale. Right? So, we have taken on this in collaboration with communities across the country. I think one of the biggest gain that we have so far is that there is a change in consciousness on the island through the advocacy, primarily around the education around what is facilitating this kind of dispossession, which is the Beach Control Act of 1956. So a lot of Jamaicans now, both here and once them in other foreign countries now, are attuned that the Beach Control Act of 1956 is a legislation that basically says Jamaicans have no right to bathe, to swim, to fish, to walk along the foreshore of the country. And that piece of education now is driving the mobilization of the Jamaican people. And that's a significant win, I think, that we have exposed a colonial era law that has been on our books for 69 years. And no political party have changed that.
Not only have they changed it, but they've also been using it, weaponizing it, if you will. So it's well used. It's a shiny piece of tool.
Yes.
For them. So which means that they're well aware of it.
Of course. That's why they made no attempt to change it. And as you were saying, they've weaponized it against the Jamaican people because not only that the legislation gives people who own land adjoining the foreshore the right, it also empowers the government with the tool of beach license and leases, right? So the government can lease out the entire coastline, which it has been doing. When Jabem started, there were 274 beach licenses around Jamaica. In 2025, and 3 years ago that was, in 2025, there are now 366 beach licenses, right, for beaches across the country. So the government is using it.
And what does this mean in reality? This massive increase in the doling out of beach license. What does it mean for the Jamaican people? Is that we have more access or less access?
That means less access.
So who are these people holding these beaches?
Right. So there are a massive amount of new hotels that are coming online. So they are the ones who get the license, right? You have villas and guest houses, they get the license. You also have, Jamaican citizens, right, who are building their houses, some of them technically encroaching in the sea, and they're getting these licenses. So every license that is granted for the foreshore means that Jamaicans are more displaced, less access. And that's what the government weaponized it. It gives the tourism industry, it gives individuals who can afford these spaces, these licenses to exclude Jamaican people from the beaches.
It's a dangerous game they're playing. Did you happen to see the debate, any of the debates where this issue came up? Because I think it did come up in one of the debates, might have been the first one where somebody online asked that question. And what did you think of what you heard from both sides?
Well, I heard the debate. I listened to it. Both sides did not address what the real issue is. They failed to recognize that the Beach Control Act of 1956 needs to be fundamentally, it needs to be repealed and replaced. They did not talk about that, right? They mentioned about legislation. So let's start with where the government position is that it has tabled, before cabinet, right, a new policy. Now, that policy has been floating around since 2000 and made all kind of modification. Yeah. And in 2020, it was, said that policy was going to be before Parliament. I mean, the people of the country would be able to see that policy. It's 5 years later and now it's before cabinet. So, I am not trusting that process, right?
Now, and there were many questions around that anyway, for those of us who glance at anything. I remember it is through that policy that they were about to initiate under Colonel Charles Jr., where you and me really lock into this thing seriously, because you were listening online when I had him on the phone, and I need somebody that you went to school with, right? And you said,
no,
I know you go to school with.
No.
Anyway, but it's who you did go to school with. You tell me, tell the persons A, B, C, D, E. But the point of the matter is that, so you've been clued into this and glued into this for a very long time, looking at what they were coming out with as a new policy.
Yes.
To submit to Parliament. And that raised a lot of red flags for you from the beginning. This is the same document that is in cabinet.
I suspect so. Right now, we have not seen it, and we have made a request, through the Liberian Parliament, and it's not there. So that means they sit down with, the cabinet member, which is members of, the ruling party right now. So the country is not seeing what has been put forward, right? But we had problems with what was in the beach access management policy green paper, because it never seeks to give Jamaicans rights, right? What they mentioned in there was some qualified rights, which is a nebulous term. What that really mean? We don't know what it really mean, right? What's the problem for us? Say, boy, Jamaicans have fundamental rights of access, to really use the beach. And what we are talking about now, we have to be very careful, even when we are use the word access right now. So Jabem, had a conference in June, in which we are now looking at what we're calling, the reimagination of the coastline and use of the sea, which is rooted in rights, right? Because you have to have rights before you can deal with access. And rights have a lot of meanings. It means not only just going on there and do what we normally do, but the place is now a big economic driver for the country, right? It's 30% of the Jamaican economy. It made $4.3 billion last year. So therefore, Jamaicans need to have economic justice at the coastline. And that means the lands at the coastline needs to be in trust for the Jamaican people.
And this is the point now. So when you talk about rights to the beach, rights to the ocean, rights to the river, to the waters, you are fundamentally talking about right to land.
Right to land.
And this is, and both are tied in, but we hear, there's a wide discussion, and it seems to me as if it's prolific in terms of coming from both sides, or from everybody actually, who are contesting this election. Land rights, the issue of land, and there's a whole lot of what I call platitudinous aspiration around land. But the access to the beach, or the right to access the beach, this is also tied very right into that land, the right to land.
It is.
And land ownership. So have you heard anything coming out from any of the spaces that you said, let me have a look at this again?
No, and we'll just kind of take a few steps back. So what they're saying in the policy, which was also in the budget presentation, is that hotels, any new hotels that comes into being, will have to provide some kind of a corridor. That allows Jamaicans to access the beach, right? Now, we already have a legislation where we are using right now still, is the Prescription Act, right, of 1882. That's what we're really using right now, and that's a land rights legislation. But that is stronger than what they are saying, because this legislation that we're using is saying that Jamaicans will have to write on their land title the rights of the people to use the space, and the people will continue to use the space in the form that they have been using it since such time. So when we look on like Cooper's Pen, which was cited as an example near Rio Royal Town there, when them kick off the bridge in them at Cooper's Pen, off of them beach, and the hotel build in the track that they've been using, accessing the beach for over 100 years, and build a corridor that cuts through a mangrove and give them access to part of the beach. They don't have freedom of movement and doing what they normally do. So the bridge in them boat, like all did it, them boat no longer sits on the beach there where them grandfather fish, them there to a side. So what we are saying is that we don't trust even this model that you're saying, right? Hotels will provide corridor. We need them things to spell out. We need fundamental changes in legislation, right? I would say repeal it so we have rights to the land. It must be rights to land to really access and use the beach and use the sea.
Let me take a quick break there. All right, back with you inside of the Africa Forum. This is Running Africa. We're just about 6 minutes away from the Supreme Ventures draw. Dr. Devon Taylor is in the house with me. So long and short of it, Devon, is that the struggle continues. For us, it is what it is, because we have to deal with the isness of things. The fight for beach rights, for rights to land, for rights to go to the sea, for rights to the rivers. For us, it's not partisan. It is because we're fighting this fight regardless of which party is in power. We've been fighting this fight for a long time.
Yes. It is totally an anti-partisan move. And if not, we have seen that both political parties fail to deliver, the resolution that the country need and should have. And instead, this is not only breaking Jamaican cultural ties, right? And is putting our food security, into jeopardy, because the sea is basically the last space that Jamaicans can catch wild food. You just go into the sea, right? Harvest some massa or, any seaweed or catch some fish. There's no other place wild food exists in Jamaica like that, right? The tourism industry, which is this place, is making all the money. People now make the money off of the space. So, the fight is rooted in, reparative justice, right? And land rights. And we see all both, political party playing around with rights to land, whether through housing, through farming. All these kind of things are no real reparation. So we, the people, have to fight, against a 69-year-old legislation that continues to hurt the nation. So it does not matter who win, we'll be at the fight. We have 5 cases in the court right now. I want the ones them to know that the Providence Flankers beat right now is before the courts, right? That has been filed, and so the fight is now going to be a new angle within the Montego Bay space, because we do see, the proliferation of overwater bungalow along the north coast right now, which so the sea, is being under threat. So we're not going to be able to go to certain spaces in the sea anymore. The underground ecology is being ruined by these overwater bungalow, right? And mangroves continue to be removed. Fishing beaches under the beach access management policy, those will be reduced. So it's a big fight ahead that we would really want entire Jamaica to really realize that this is a fight for the sovereignty of the country. There's no need for us to be excluded, to be dispossessed, and not to fully participate in the economy along the coast, because of this legislation and the unwillingness for government to really do what is right by the people.
We heard from, you talk about the sovereignty of the people, which is interesting, of Jamaica and Jamaica as a nation, but also the region, because we're seeing now a serious threat to the sovereignty of the Caribbean waters, even as we talk about the seas. And we haven't heard a word from CARICOM. CARICOM is now led by Jamaica. Granted, Jamaica is going through an election, but we must can ride and whistle.
Absolutely.
Because what we're witnessing in Jamaica, in the Caribbean waters now, I want somebody to tell me if we've ever seen anything like it. I remember there's Panama, there's Grenada, there's Haiti, but I don't think at this scale. So until the Prime Minister hasn't said anything, the leader of the opposition, nobody has come out to say what is happening or to even acknowledge that it is happening. But we are surrounded, literally, the Southern Caribbean seas by, of course, 8 warships now, and nuclear-powered submarines. And we see France joining the fracas by sending a naval warship into Guadeloupe. This for us represents a threat to our sovereignty. I'm going to go into the Supreme Bench's draw, and you'll hang around until 9?
Yeah, man.
Because we want to talk about what I heard about Paji, because maybe you can tell me about Paji, even though you come from foreign. And I said, we come from like Capleton, Shango, check me, because we have to talk about Paji. We're about to lose Paji, Shango. And enough time I call for you. You know when I call for you, I need you. I want to tell Shango, so me I call him. I'm probably asleep now. Shango, I said, Mary, we come from. Right next to Paji Beach. Well, we used to hang out down there. Don't know that go. So we need a panda one here. Shango, Capleton, check me. Serious business. All right. Listen up. On the island all day. Interesting news coming out of the continent of Africa. We're understanding that Rwanda, Al Jazeera is reporting, Rwanda is confirming that it has received 7 immigrants deported under Donald Trump. Now in Rwanda, remember that Rwanda had this deal with the UK, and the people of the UK, understanding what that meant, fought against it, and they had to withdraw that. Now here we are. Rwanda has received 70 immigrants so far. Rwanda is the cancer of Africa. Like, real pussy cancer, like cancer that is festering. And I wouldn't even say what Paul Kagame is. But I'll leave that for a minute. We're understanding also that South Africa, Julius Malema has been found guilty of hate speech again in South Africa. I haven't looked up the story, but that's a headline coming out of Al Jazeera. Also, France has returned human skulls to Madagascar 128 years after the French massacre. And in the DRC, the DR Congo, the M23 rebels are set to resume talks in Qatar after renewed violence in the east. Remember, M23 is another way of saying Rwanda. So that the vicious murders, the rape, the abuse, the mutilation, the dismembering of women, girls, children, all that viciousness. M23 is backed by Kagame and Rwanda. Enough said. So that's some of the information coming out of the continent of Africa. It's all sounding away. Yeah, I know. Out of Turkey. Turkey has now said, and they have done this, by the way, they haven't just announced it. They have cut off all diplomatic ties, economic ties with Israel. And they have said that they're doing this because of the genocide that Israel is carrying out in Gaza. I am not so sure about that because this is 2 years in and Turkey has been there in this, in the whole thing forever. So I'm not sure about that. Turkey, Egypt, but I look at it and I'll come back and have a conversation about it. It's going to be effective one way or the other because they've also closed their airspace. So that is something to watch. I can't go into much of that this morning, but I want you to follow up on this. What's happening with Turkey, the fact that they've cut off diplomatic relations with Israel, the fact that they've closed their airspace. Does it mean now that they will be dropping aids or bringing aids to aid to Gaza? And if they do that, will Israel still try through America to shoot their planes out of the air? These are questions to ask. But I don't think this has anything to do with the genocide in Gaza. I'm going to do my research to find out why Turkey took this step. We're in the studio with Dr. Devon Taylor. 10 minutes left in the conversation with Dr. Devon Taylor and myself. Dr. Taylor, we've got lots of ads, as you might have noticed, and we welcome ads all the time. It's a commercial radio station.
Pays the bills.
It does. So, but I'm going to give you the last few minutes because I know there's a whole lot that you have to say, so I don't want to keep interrupting it. But suffice to say, Paji Beach. I found something very interesting coming out of the debates, and I mentioned that 2 weeks ago, I think it was, with where Matthew Samuta was on. In response to that very same question on the beach, he talked about giving back beaches to the people. And one of the beaches he named was Paji Beach. And that got my antenna up because that's where I come from. And Paji Beach is my beach. Paji Beach is one of the only free beaches around. But he says, so what is did Jabem notice that? And what point is Jabem making on this? Or have you responded to this in any way? I mean, what does this mean to you?
Yeah, we have not responded to it yet. During this political season, one have to be very careful as a non-partisan.
I know.
Movement, what you say, yes, right?
I know.
But, the government approach around, building these beach parks across the country cannot work. Straight up, it's segregation. Right? All this thing that you're talking about, even hotels creating corridors, it's all segregation. There's no intention, right, by the government and under the Beach Control Act of 1956 to really deal with democratization on beaches, right? A segregated product. So, Paji was listed on their list as one of the 10 beaches to quote unquote develop. Right. So, when that, song went out in the debate, it just make, a lot of sense that, maybe 2 weeks ago, a sign went up on Paji Beach, Jamaica that says, coming soon. And there's an image on the billboard that depicts, structures being erected on the beach. I mean, the details of what that is, we don't know, but what it's saying is that there's a development that is coming on Paji Beach, that people within Paji who I reach out to don't understand what is this. Now, I'm aware that maybe a year ago, there was quote unquote some meeting happening in the space to say they're going to do this and what this is, right? We don't fully know. But, as you mentioned, Paji is one of the last spaces, very expansive, beautiful beach, fishing going on there for more than a century. A river runs out into the sea, very healthy mangrove forest. The coastal forest in Paji is well intact. So if you really need a beautiful rustic Jamaican beach to go to, Paji is the last one. So, any attempt to, pour concrete on the beach to put, these kiosks or, different kinds of structures is not consistent with in terms of sustainability on a beach, right? Plus, it means that families will be displaced in Paji because of how the community build and live in Paji. Everyone there pretty much live very close to the beach. Yeah. So that is troubling for us right now because that means that there will be displacement, there will be dispossession, and the fishing community will also be affected in Paji.
It raised a lot of red flags for me. And you talk about the fishing community, the families that will be displaced, the fact that the beach, because development for them meaning pouring concrete. But Paji is not one of the beaches in contention for us. Paji is, as you say, the last bastion.
Yes.
The only place that you can drive up and go on the beach and just chill for the whole day without worrying about whether or not government will take it from you. But when I heard him say Paji, I almost fall off of my chair because I said to myself, but Paji doesn't have a problem.
No problem exists in Paji. So you freely move along this foreshore freely. So now with this coming into being, because you see the model that is in Harmony, Cove Park down in Montego Bay. It's, that's a concrete beach. But one of the things that we need to pay attention to, that beach opens from 9 to 5. Now, me want Jamaica tell me since we start open beach 9 and close beach at 5. The way we use beaches. Beach is not a 9 to 5 thing. As a matter of fact, when 9 to 5 come, that's when you want to go there. Yeah. Go chill out and build a medi. So this approach to, the capitalization is a capitalist capture of all of the beaches them across Jamaica to run them like parks. You have to look at how we Jamaican people have used beaches for centuries. Very early in the morning, very late in the evening. Football, you can't play soccer on these beaches. You can't play football on these beaches. You can't play cricket on these beaches. You can't carry your lover to these beaches. You can't carry your lover to Paji. You can't do it at Harmony Park in a Montego Bay. Right? Fisher folks, what you need, you can't push out your boat on these beaches. So what they're doing, they're breaking our cultural connection with the coastline by bringing in this kind of, capital-driven kind of mentality. And that is what has been happening in Jamaica over the last, 40 years.
And this is the point. And this is what I think they're not getting. And I'm talking about both parties. This is what they're not understanding. This is what they do not, they're deliberately misunderstanding because they have been weaponizing the Beach Control Act, and this is their response to the weaponization. And they've got buy-in, from many Jamaicans. This is what we must bear in mind also, because Jamaican people have developed a fear of each other. Part of what is allowed to happen on the island is because there is this division along criminal lines, murder lines, scamming lines, party lines, tribalistic lines, you name it, color lines, race lines. And so Jamaican people have categorized the majority of us as less than, as criminal. Our sons are criminalized before, you see them as a matter of fact, if you see them, you criminalize them before them open their mouth. So this is where we are, where the Jamaican people in some cases are clamoring, and we have to be careful what we ask for, are clamoring for this kind of separation, this kind of segregation. And because there's also classism built into the capitalism, they are allowed to do a lot of this. What is it? What's the solution? Is it through the court still? Do we have to take to the street? Do we have to march? Do we have to lock down Paji? I mean, what are we going to do?
Yeah, so I think, all of it is on the table, right? We're going into the community for sitting in ones-on-ones because this must be a community-led initiative.
Goodness
the people
gracious.
of Paji
I am
must...
a community member of Paji. This is my beach.
Yes, it's your beach, it's my beach, it's Jamaica's beach. You know, we say Cabarita Island, the beautiful Cabarita Island sits right there. They want that. So,
yes.
You know, I want to say to the Paji family this morning, right? This is a direct threat to your freedom of movement. It's a direct threat to your life.
Your livelihood.
It's a direct threat to how you live.
To your survival.
To your survival, or you live with your environment. So what is projected to come there is not the freedom, right, of the seas that is promised within the United Nations laws and the Convention of the Sea, and how we use it. It's not the freedom that your ancestors fought for you to walk the full breadth of Paji. Fish when you want to fish, swim when you want to swim, walk when you want to walk, harvest when you want to harvest. This is not that freedom. This is that economic freedom for you to continue to make your life and sustain your family. That's not what that is. So let's open our eyes very clearly and see that this is a capture and a takeover. And we cannot allow that to proliferate, to continue to proliferate across the island. Hotels already make $4.3 billion off it, and we're not seeing that return on investment, right? We're seeing the lockout along the Montego Bay is shut down. We're fighting for Providence Beach. We're fighting in Bob Marley Beach, Brethren them down Liquor Duns River. We see the fight across Mammy Bay. We're going to court on the 5th of September in St. Anne's Bay again around the Mammy Bay Beach. And a piece of that case is now in the appeals court. Jamaica, we have fight hard. So when you hear the sounds that say out there that we're going to every Jamaican deserve and must have the right to their beaches, if that was so, if that was true, we would not have 5 cases in the court and many of these cases against government agencies, right? And we would not also hear from the opposition that there's going to be a discussion with the hotel to determine a harmonious solution to beaches. The law is wrong. The law says we have no right, so we don't need to have no discussion with no hotel to ask them no permission to use our beach. They must just change the legislation. They must do what is right by the Jamaican people. And it get me hungry because they know what is encoded and enshrined for 69 years. And both political parties are playing this game with the Jamaican people. One said them are going to strike a balance, one need a harmonious solution. So the people lose. What the people want is rights, and rights that are enshrined in law. So we can do what we want to do and reimagine how we, develop this space if we want to do that, or we continue to live with this space and what we want to do.
And one of the things that we need to do is to appeal to academia, to civil society, to the good people of Jamaica to come to support Jabem, to support this fight, to support the call for for repealing and replacing the Beach Management Act, to just throw it out and to address the law which denies the people the basic human right. Because the law says we have no right.
No right.
To access
Section 4,
salt water.
Part 3 says we have none. Let that sink in. So you must rise up. We have to pay attention. If, me try break this thing down, if coastal economy is 30% of GDP, it is making the biggest foreign, exchange. We can debate it. Remittances is doing a phenomenal, job. And remittances goes right into the hands of the Jamaican people, right? And it's not passing through any kind of tax spaces, and divide above that. But this industry is making the most. It also employed the most Jamaicans, right? But we see 12 strikes, this year in the industry, unrest around pay, contract, right? And tenable working condition. So there's a plantation tourism that's emerging with your natural resource.
Emerging, it's well entrenched. in the very fabric of the development of tourism on this island. Devon, I'm so sorry I'm out of time, but we will return to this because it's a conversation that is ongoing. It's a process that is ongoing as a fight for the right to go to walk in the water and the right to land continues. And this is what independence is. And this is why we say that Jamaica is not an independent country. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming in. All right. Let me take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be speaking to my next guest, Dr. Ajamo Nagwaya.
Jamaica's poverty rate has dropped from 16.7% to 8.2%. As the government's economic program begins to pay off, our country is heading towards sustained growth. We are building Jamaica. The time by the office of the Prime Minister is
now 4 minutes after 9 o'clock. Let me do this and come back to Brother Ajamo. All right. My brother Ajamo is on the phone lines as we look at Jamaica, the challenges, the opportunities, and the way forward. Brother Ajamo holds a PhD in adult education and community development from the University of Toronto. He's a former cultural and Rastafari studies lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Mona. He currently is a work member at Mukasa Farms and Eco Retreat in Westmoreland. He's the editor of 3 anthologies with Adwa Onuro and Anna Perkins, Rough Riding, Tanya Stevens, and The Power of Music to Change Society. And he taught at the post-secondary level in Canada and Jamaica. Brother Ajamo, how you doing?
Yeah, greetings, Sister Kabu. Well, go on.
Why, you're able to hear RFM because I'm getting a whole lot of calls from a whole lot of people and texts from across Jamaica and the world to say that as we come on this morning, the program went off. So you're able to pick up at any time?
No, I didn't go back because I went out in the field, so when I came back, it was just about time to come on.
Right.
So, but I said maybe them the plan,
I must, we so let's just ask our engineers, IT department to get on this urgently because the people on the apps, we're getting a flood of texts coming in to say that they're not hearing us or they're hearing us and it's all scrambled. The people on the 107s are not hearing us in parts of Jamaica. Online is the very same thing. So something has happened to the entire thing this morning. A lot of excitement on the island. But yes, go ahead.
I wouldn't see excitement around this election, because if we look at 2016, I lost 41% people show up at the poll. Then in 2000, 37%. So what we shows that downward trend that the people realize they participate in an election, not do nothing for them. And this is a global trend, I know it's Jamaica, and them call the concept, people lack political efficacy. That means you as a voter don't have control over the policy outcome, the desired policy outcome and the desired program outcome. So that if you want access to affordable housing, free post-secondary education, a livable wage instead of a minimum wage, you can't get that as working class people, the sufferers. You can't get that through voting in an election. Mm-hmm. So because of that, the concept the lack of political efficacy, meaning that your vote is meaningless, in terms of the real thing. So people are actually moving away from the polls, even in the imperialist countries, and it's going on globally. Mm-hmm. So there's no excitement going on. Is that people?
Yes, and it's my bad. It's my bad because it's
among the parties and them.
Yes,
there's not the excitement. Even at the countryside, not the whole on there. And Africans, working class Africans are wear green and orange and yes, but hold on there. We not get nothing out of this. One of those partisans,
Yes.
But most people realize this is politics, and Rastafari get it right from long time. That bourgeois electoral politics is really politics. That's a political trickery game, and it's a way to legitimize the rule of the minority in society to say yes, the people did vote for their masters, so it's all right. Unlike China, where the people not vote for the masses impose them will. But it's the same from whether it's in China, Cuba, United States, Sweden. Minority rule is the norm. And the people are excited about that. So that's why sometimes people retreat into those personal.
What does it mean? Yeah. What does it mean for Jamaica, though, looking down the line? Because it seems to me at some point, Jamaica is going to have to take a stand. I'm talking about the people of Jamaica or die. Your own thinking on this, because if this trajectory continues, where there is no change, where the votes, you said the vote is meaningless, and I'm not disagreeing with that at all. What's the outcome of this? As Ernest Smith said, are we building a nation or are we building a hut?
Well, it's going to take work. That we, the people, have to put in the work in building alternative economic situation, ways of governing outside of the official system. For example, we said that we are suffering from the economic situation in Jamaica. And it's true. People are suffering. Even people called middle class, them can barely afford their mortgage and send them to a private school and pay for private transportation. Yes. So even them are balls, And that's why the brain drain in Jamaica is so high. That's almost sometimes kind of useless for us to spend money on education, because we're losing up to like 70% of the people that we educate to a high school and beyond. They migrate. That's a massive amount of brain drain, and they might go to them feet and say, Jamaica now work for them. And if the people with a relatively high amount of education are runway, what about the sufferers them many who drop out of high school, or even when they complete high school, are really joking, because these schools now really produce people who have the skills and the knowledge to do, to really fend for themselves or operate in the system. So what we have to do, if we look at in terms of the economic situation in Jamaica, where you have a minority of people control the bulk of the wealth, we have to come up with, for example, cooperative. So if we're saying, okay, here's the tourism sector, we organize a group of workers into worker cooperatives, just like how we had worker cooperatives between 1976 and 1981 in the sugar sector, like, more the cane, not the processing part of the sugar industry. We need to look at that, that how workers can organize capital and hire themselves, make all the decisions, the big decisions and small decisions, from hiring on the shop floor to deciding, should we introduce new technology or should we expand our membership instead of using machine to replace people? Those are big decisions that workers can make. So we have to create alternatives and build like a subsystem within the system itself. In the political arena, we have to start to get active in our communities in building organizations that are truly the voice of the people. So that means we start making the type of decisions that we can't make in the political system, or we can't get the type of outcome we want, but we set up real democratic systems. The purpose of creating alternatives is that these structures will become the seed of the new society. For me, it will be the communist society of the future. But whatever people call it, we must build the future today in practical ways. We have to take the regular system. We may participate at some level, and of course, we're in opposition at certain level. But it's going to take work. If you look in the communities in rural Jamaica, usually the political parties and the churches are only the two active organizations in communities. And even urban areas, we don't have organization of the people. And part of the problem, and this is global, the lower the level of formal education is the lower the rate of volunteerism. So I mean that if a community is very poor, very low levels of formal education, people don't really volunteer, except for the church. People don't really volunteer that much compared to like a Cherry Garden or Beverly Hills. You have high rates of volunteerism in those spaces because of the education. And this is a global thing, Even if you go in the United States and the poorer the community, the lower the rate of volunteerism. So we have to, as organizers, start to raise the consciousness of the people to show that we can't move forward if we don't work together. And that's fundamental. And we have to trust each other, because Jamaicans don't trust each other.
Well, that's you weren't even hearing. You weren't even hearing, and that's a point I just made with Dr. Devon Taylor, just coming out of that interview. That this is our problem, is that we have grown not to trust. You remember one time when we used to trust each other, but somewhere we began to develop this mistrust, and it's like it took me by surprise overnight, and you wake up and we don't trust each other. I hear you laughing, Brother Ajamo. What is
it? It's a long-standing thing in terms of the development of the church. Because I was reading a book by Brian Meek, music guy UA, and then
Yes.
And he was saying that a poll found that 81% of Jamaicans don't trust their neighbor. And I'm saying, what are they? If the level of distrust is so high, how can we build a society? I hear people talk about the need for social capital and all them things. What I really mean is that, how do people come together and form a network or organization in the spaces that they live?
Yes.
But trust is the foundation of social capital. And if you don't trust, you can't really work with people. And even for me, like, I have an issue with my laptop. I mean, I said, boy, who never give this thing out to it? My
I have the same problem with my phone.
It's that they're a bunch of scammers. And I'm thinking, like, I think so. Give me things to somebody now, and them do what I'm supposed to do with it now, and they put me in a conflict situation. Because you don't want to go court, you want to resolve it yourself,
But Ajamo, I have the same thing with my phone. So it's a thing where there is this thing that we have developed. But I remember the time, especially we from country, I said where me come from, when we literally lived in each other's yard. That's how we grew up. If our parents are silly, then not want to worry too much because we up Aunt D. I would have Siva. I would have seen it. And the same thing in our house where no parent not have to worry about no picnic, because one of the adults yard them there who belonged, because it's a community. But now, and then everybody didn't know who the pedophiles then was. So, say you're picking August and the children are well informed as to where not to go and so on. But we've moved away from community. I'm going to take a break, but when I come back, I want to talk to you a little bit. Then how do we regain that? What is out there that we can tap into? Because I know there's something that you yourself have been looking into. So let me take a quick look. Dr. Ajamo Nagwaya, how are you doing, my brother?
Yeah,
you were holding for a while. My apologies, because I didn't.
I've done lifeblood of a station, so no matter, we have good information, but we have to pay a fee.
That's right.
It
is what it is, and we have another one coming up right now. So we're gonna. Before we have about 3 minutes. So we're talking about community, just going into the break, and what do we have to tap in? What do we have to draw back on? You talk about something the 70s and even the 80s. So talk to us about where can we go? What do we look to determine how to move forward?
Well, first and foremost, we need organization in each community, like in each community out there. Like, so what about skill organization where people can come to it, not exclusionary and things like that, because nothing can happen without groups. And that's why the oppressor would try to keep people divided and keep them out of organizations, because that is the only way to move things forward. If we're going to organize our own food security, we're going to organize our own, like housing or any other thing, we need a group to make that happen. So what we need is to organize the people who are interested in changing things. We have to come together and organize inside communities, because we have to learn from the past. And one of the things that was critical in the Guinea-Bissau revolution or national liberation struggle, like Portuguese colonialism, is that when the organizers were sent out in villages, they didn't leave until the functional organization was in place. There was none before now. They organized for the armed struggle against Portuguese colonialism. One interesting thing about that is the 5-member village committee, had to have 2 women on it. Cabral was very, very, Cabral was very clear about that that's a fight against gender oppression. So we need that to start out. But also, we have to organize around the practical needs of the people. A big issue in Jamaica is food security. During COVID, there was a number of international organizations put together a survey, and it found that 60% of Jamaicans can't afford a bath, like a diet good for them functioning, physical, mental functioning.
We're losing you a bit because the connection is getting really bad. But you say cannot afford what?
Cannot afford a balanced diet. Then you can't afford good food with fruits and vegetables. Because so the poor, a lot of times, just starchy food. You have the cornmeal, you have the flour, and things like that. But you have a household of 7 people, and I know that every day you not buy a dozen banana, ripe banana. You not buy oranges, you not buy sweet stuff, because fruits and vegetables are very expensive. Not just in Jamaica, but even at the imperialist country, a lot of people can't afford those things. So this is something that we can organize the people around. And when we organize them around their practical needs, we can also use that to raise them consciousness about what type of society is this where we don't have a guaranteed right to food, shelter, clothing. Then we can start to ask them questions about the system. Capitalism, patriarchy, racism, homophobia, all of these things, black people from having access to the things they need to survive. So while we are dealing with, like the bread and butter issue, we're using it to attack the system at a political and ideological level. And that is because if you just come to the people and you just tell them, you give them those radical ideas, that's not enough. You have to organize around their needs. And as we ask questions about how to move forward, you bring the answers out of them about what they observe and experience about the system itself. Radical ideology alone won't work. We must organize around the needs. But we need organization to make that happen.
What role does the point you made earlier, trust? Brother Ajamo, I have listen though, I have a long break coming up, and I don't want you to be holding again when it's just going to be for another 5 minutes. So I'm going
to... you can hold on, sister.
All right. Okay, so let me take it. We're in just about the final 10 minutes or so with our brother Ajamo, who is online. Thank you so much for your patience, my brother.
You're welcome.
And so let's go straight to it then, because you were laying out to us how we can begin to rebuild community in Jamaica and the need to organize this all wrapped into one. And then the question I was asking is related to something you said earlier, the extent to which Jamaicans have lost trust within each other, with each other, and for each other. And so the point then is, how then does this reality impact the ability of Jamaicans to reorganize, to rebuild community, and the capacity to do so?
We're dealing with a very tough thing, because the song by Bob Marley, Who the Captive, that's really talking about trust. So about man to man, son trust, they don't know to trust. It's a real thing in our community, but we have demonstrated in Jamaica that we can work together in spite of the fact that we may have distrust, because as someone who's in farming, and I believe in cooperative labor sharing, which is like, you give me a day, me give you a day. It's something we bring over from Africa. So something we use for a long time, but trust undermine it, because I give you a full day. You come from my farm, you're there for the day, but you don't give me a full day. Or you don't even show up after you get a day from me. So them things that you undermine trust. But the thing is that those of us who know that group work is the only way for liberation, and in spite of the fact that we may have misgivings about each other, we just have to take a leap of faith and so we have a show in practice that we can trust each other. And part of that comes from, like setting up rules in terms of how we're going to work together, what the expectations are. And even then you have some people will violate the expectations. And the punishments that we have are not that great. It's not like in the past where you may have one church in the community, and if you excommunicate the person from the church, that's like social death. People just jump in and carry and go to our next church outside of the community. People now have to engage in collective entertainment. They can just watch cable channels, and they can actually separate. So we don't really have a lot of community functions as before. But we know we have a need. For example, we have a need to have access to affordable food, we can organize the community around community gardens or even backyard gardens and showing people how we can develop plants like germinate plants and share it with each other. We can come to each other's backyard and we share labor. We can organize classes where people come in and show us how to make jam from the things that we produce, how to make jerk sauce and all of those things, but they come together because of collective action. So when other people see the success of group work and group trust, then they'll come in, but when they come in, there are common expectations that we have, norms that we're encouraging, that are positive and are not predatory, where we try to broke each other foot.
What happens when government actively participates in destroying cooperatives and organizations and groups? For example, we had the Mango Valley Women's Cooperative that in the mid-2000s, where they were using all of the Mango Valley is such a fruitful area with mangoes and all kinds of stuff. They were using all of that to make condiments and flour and bread and they were packaging for the local market, but also to export. And that was a really brilliant thing. I mean, I've been to so many of those meetings, just sitting down, listening to the women and so on. The men were there, but it was really a women's cooperative that included the church and so on. That was destroyed by political interference. And we talk about the Fishermen's Cooperative. Remember that Fishermen's Cooperative, say, at Fisherman's Beach here in Outaouais, that we saw destroyed by politicians. I grew up in a community where there was a community cooperative that was happening at the community center, where the elder women were teaching the younger people who just wanted to learn some skills to do all kinds of stuff, from cooking to sewing to making mat with cut up cloth and so on, scraps. And that was also destroyed by politics. So the point I'm making is that there seems to be another insidious thing that's happening on this island, where the people who come together in cooperatives, properly registered and so on, find that these are destroyed by politicians. So what happens when governments turn against people's cooperatives like that? How do we survive?
Well, sometimes it's how we start off, because in Jamaica, many things we call cooperatives don't really operate like business. They don't, they literally are dependent on external injection of funds, and politicians become a very important part.
Mango Valley wasn't at all. Mango Valley was making.
The thing is that how can politicians destroy something of the people without coming up with laws and other things if they weren't important to the process?
They were never there. I was there.
We're too dependent on them. But, and part of the function fact that, like the knowledge and skills that we need to have, a lot of times we don't have it and we're dependent on these external people. So when we're organizing cooperative, education to build knowledge, skills, and attitude must be a critical part of the work that we do, so that we can be independent of politicians or any other.
I know that, and I agree with you. And I know that the Mango Valley Cooperative members who have been disbanded are listening, and so I know they're depending on me to say we were never political. We never reached out to any politicians. We never accepted funding. We were doing this on our own. They got technical support, of course, and they went under serious training, and I was also part of that. I was part of that for a good 3 years. So that I have to stand up for them and also for the community that I am from, to say politics was never involved in any of this. Padgy Beach that we talked about this morning, for example, was a cooperative that was also destroyed after an election. So this is an interesting thing that is, and that's why I'm saying it's insidious, that if people do not talk to say it's a politician who came in and drove a wedge in between all of this and told the people that you have to do it this way or I will lock it down. I will, and they do.
That's reality. How can they lock it down without overtly coming out and doing this thing? One thing is that there must be some weakness within that could allow a politician to come and say, maybe lock this up. What are you going to lock up?
Fear.
That would endanger our survival.
Fear of violence.
But that's something that we have to work on.
Yes.
That means that is a weakness within, because it is a fear of violence that they may inspire people to come in and attack us.
But they are doing that. And I'm not saying that happened at Mango Valley, but I'm saying that fear. That's how I was there.
Yeah, but whatever the fear is, a lot of time we fear the oppressor more than the punishment that they can actually exact in a situation. Because fear is a thing, but when they come to you and say, is this the hill you want to die on? And you say, yes. If that's the case, then this is the hill you die on. Any hill they point to, you're ready to die on it, and to exact punishment while confronting them. It's a different thing.
Yes, it is. It is. And the point is what the point is what
and you exploit it,
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. So if it's not that, you may have a grand program that we need, and if we don't play ball, they're gonna pull it up, pull the fund, and then it would have collapsed. But there must be internal weaknesses that they're exploiting.
That is true.
Internal
partisan weaknesses.
Yes, and we have to work on that as organizers in terms of how we limit our vulnerability, because any oppressive system will exploit internal division or vulnerabilities that we have.
Yes.
And we have to work against that. But what with all this experience of political manipulation, political interference in the work that we're doing, when you're organizing and building these alternative economic structures, we have to say, okay, what are our points of strength? What are our vulnerabilities? And to try to not let our weaknesses become, reach a point where they can exploit it.
That point
and
is well taken.
To take it away as points of weaknesses. But one thing we can't do is to give up, because we say, come on, we'll destroy what we're going to do. Because if we, as our ancestors, follow that path, we wouldn't emancipate ourselves from slavery.
That is so
because
true.
We have too many examples of people escaping and get taught, and their heads are on stick that we're going to work, and we're passing the head of somebody that was once a part of the community on a piece of stick to tell them, so don't try to run away. And we still resist. We still resist, because one thing we have to realize in political struggles, we need martyrs. Struggles produce martyrs. But if we're afraid to die, the enemy needs that, then you know they can keep on putting pressure. But more of us will die than the enemy will die. That's what's the nature of political struggle.
Many more will have to die, I'm afraid. And this is really a crazy point on which to end it. But we're totally out of time. Brother Ajamo, thank you so much as usual. I really appreciate you, my brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good thanks, sister. And have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right, let me just quickly tell you about what's happening today from the Haiti Action Committee. Let me do this first because we don't want you to miss that. All right, so quickly, the Haiti Action Committee and Caribbean Dialogue is inviting you to a virtual event in solidarity with Haiti and Cuba. The presenters include Seth Donnelly, Haiti Action Committee author, the Life of Global Prosperity founder, Taxpayers Against Genocide, and Dr. Isaac Sani, author Cuba, A Revolution in Motion, author Cuba, African Apartheid's End, and Maud Jean-Michel, Haitian community organizer and radio host. Special guest is Vijay Prashad, and Vijay Prashad, when he's on, he's always very good. Historian, executive director of the Tricontinental Institute. The moderator is Yaya Marin Coleman, journalist out of Belize. Our sister, she's been on this program many times. So it's today at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And that will be 7 p.m. Jamaica time. There's a Zoom meeting ID, which is 842-312-624. That's a meeting ID, 842-312-624. And the password, 464-860. 464-860. So once again, the ID, 842-3132-6242. And the password, 464-860. All right, so I didn't get a chance to talk about what's happening in the gunboat diplomacy and the escalation in the rhetoric from Trump allies and so on, the Caribbean waters. Donald Trump has literally invaded the southern Caribbean seas. He says that it is because of narco trafficking, transnational crime, drug trafficking, and so on. Really and truly, it is about regime change in Venezuela. That's the first. Secondly, it is about oil, and it is Guyana's oil, not Venezuela's oil. Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world, but it is Guyana's oil, not Venezuela. And also, there are three things. So it is China. It's also about China in the Caribbean. So hopefully I get a chance to go through that next week, because this is ongoing. It is. Remember in our history class when they did learn about gunboat diplomacy? This is straight gunboat diplomacy, and there might not be the kind of these are nuclear powered submarines and so on. And we understand that they're expecting to do some precision strikes. People are talking about whether or not they'll do what they did in Iran. But this is in the Caribbean waters, and Venezuela is just right there. So take out your map and look again, see where Trinidad is. Trinidad and Venezuela almost touch each other. And then just look up above you and you see Jamaica floating in the water up there. So look one and you see Dominica, Haiti, right over them, right there. So if you're looking at the map, you'll see that this is a Southern Caribbean seas, but this is Caribbean business. Last night, there was another ship, a warship, nuclear power that went through the Panama Canal and into the Southern Caribbean seas. And France, as we said earlier, has also sent one of its own Navy warship at Guadeloupe, saying the very same thing that Donald Trump is saying about fighting drugs. But we know that, as we heard from Dr. Figueroa last week, this is not how you fight drug. As a matter of fact, this whole system no longer exists in terms of drug trafficking in the Caribbean, because we move on to a whole new kind of situation. And it is not Venezuela as much as it is Colombia, but it's Colombia with Pax Mexicana. So we're looking at Mexico and Colombia as opposed to Venezuela. So this is a very interesting thing. So, what's his name? Maduro has deployed 4.5 million, call up 4.5 million reserves, to guard and to protect Venezuela. I don't know if that can work against nuclear powered submarines, but that's so far. Also 15,000 troops at the border between Colombia and Venezuela. All of that is happening in the Caribbean waters. But CARICOM, which is based in Jamaica, which is headed by the Jamaican Prime Minister, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, they haven't said anything. We've had an international, I think it's a regional organization that has come out to say this threatens Caribbean sovereignty. Not just Venezuela, not just Trinidad, but Trinidad has said, oh, we're good with this. You come America and you can bomb anybody you want from Trinidad. And Guyana has said the very same thing. But this, even as they're saying this, when we spoke last week, they had 6 nuclear powered submarines and warships in the Southern Caribbean seas. This morning, it's 8. Plus add the one that Macron has sent to Guadeloupe. So that whole thing is not looking so good in the region. Mr. Bigay is here, and I didn't even realize. I mean, I'm so caught up in what I'm doing here. How are you doing, Mr. Bigay? How are you doing, sir?
I am wonderful.
All right.
As per usual.
I know. I see we're wearing brown today. We're like brownish, greenish kind of situation. So, Mr. Bigay, you sent me an email. What is that, sir? Coming on noise. What? Well, I was supposed to play a game? Is it a game? Is it it's like a mind brain. It's like a brain, like only bright people can do it. And me just look at it and say, I couldn't me you send that to, because my brain can't manage that. Let me tell you. It says Charles Darwin was known for his contributions to which theory? Up at top there, sir. Oh, okay. And so when we click on evolution, because it have radiation, gravity, trigonometry, and evolution, and then we check.
That could happen. My
Oh, okay. Oh, that's me. I wonder what that. So I couldn't play the game because I tried and I keep getting, the first two questions good. And after that, I realized that, boy, was a bright after all.
You sure? Everything else.
Now you need into it, Higgins. Okay. Wow, Mr. Big Game. But my phone might mash up and see it.
Yeah, email, you said?
Yes.
Oh, it's email.
Email.
Okay. No, I'm looking.
Email. It says, Charles Darwin was known for his contributions.
That would have been.
To which theory? Oh, okay. So I think I test me to say, what I know or what I don't know. Right. And you know that I'm a pretty bright girl, but not so bright as that. So you playing that game?
I do. It's a nice. That's it.
See, nice daily exercise. You're not the one. No, this is crazy because I tried. So Big A is bright round here. Yes, Mr. Big A. Right on here. So we're up on. Yeah, I can have a microphone right there saying about it a minute after 10. So I say, this is his way of telling you to go. So thank you so much for that. I will play it another day. All right. So, we're 3 days away, Big A, from the thing that we're not attending.
From the
big show where we now go. No, we don't get the invitation. And we stay on the media already. We don't go around unless we get invited.
Yeah.
That is
VIP.
A VVIP? Yeah?
Yeah.
And me, I used to with call each other to say, did you get a pass? And we not just go on the ordinary front stage pass.
No.
But there you go. So we don't get none of that. So, so we're not attending the event. But to those who are attending the event, travel safely. Mm-hmm. Right? Anything? Do not.
I will be able to sufficient parking.
Sufficient parking. Do not drink and drive.
There will be no contact on the road.
Okay. And do not drink and drive. Take responsibility for yourself. Don't expect the barman to take responsibility for you. Right. So there you go. So all the best. We'll see you after the event. Me, you can talk about the event. Because we always review the show.
Yeah, we always review.
Yeah, so we'll have a review of the show.
No, I live interested that you should do that live because
I
believe the event will go to the artists that have been listening.
So which artists are the big? So you're saying that from now? Not that you're saying. Which artists are the biggest song?
You are. You got it.
Because I'm ready to march out here, I'm ready to march out here unless if you're afraid for talk, you can't grab a mic.
No,
you know how much. So
it will go. No, man, go to the artist.
It normally goes to the artist with the biggest song, but we can't easily say which artists have the biggest song though, because we're good like that. Well, the microphone, Big A. It's a Big A good job. Grab the microphone. Big A, but it's
the artist with the biggest song.
Oh, man, hear much better now. Yeah.
It's normally the artist that will get all of the forward.
Right, and I mean, I disagree with you because you're always right about these things.
Right.
Yes, man, always right, man.
No, as I said, when you check it historically, the biggest forward normally go.
Yes. Because remember you said Shaggy Boombastic was going to be massive, right? And you were right. And you say it was Queen Africa. And you were right. And Lady Saw and Spice, I remember, so we have come to really respect you, the credibility turn up. And that's why I ask you, who have the biggest song? And what is the biggest song? Let
us see what happens on Wednesday. Let us see when the dance keep Wednesday.
Okay.
Let us see when the dance keep Wednesday. But I will have this conversation with you again.
All right. But you'll agree that some big songs out there.
I think there's one bigger than the other, but let's see.
Well, when I hear, you know, that's what they want to kill. I say,
no, never have the ultimate solution. If someone just write it down, put it in a seal it, put it in a jar, and then we pull it out next week.
That's a bird. You know, that's. I bet you it's still not gonna say.
No, but we can't. You see, I believe the one is a man of integrity. We couldn't give him for keep.
In there for a reason. In there for a reason. So you keep it. No, not about with that. So anyway, I am going to go with that. But because we don't have a clue what is the biggest song. That is why
I have a clue what the biggest song is. That's the opposite one. It's not true.
Okay. You will tell me off air. And then when Sunday we talk about, you know, we can say, yes, you did say.
No, but I think it is obvious what the biggest song is. But I'm not.
I don't think it's that obvious. Really? You have two songs that out there that mashing up the place.
All right. All right.
Anyway, so the big event is on Wednesday, and I noticed, and this is just changing the topic altogether, but I noticed that it's something you said last week, kind of what we see it unfolding with the special services who voted on Monday, which is at 57% turnout, which is basically what you're saying, that, you know, at the end of the day, it is still 1% less than it was in the last election.
Mm-hmm.
So that is even, I mean.
Right. When you add it all up, well, I am hearing that Wednesday's turnout should be a bumper turnout based on the forecast that I've seen. The electorate will rise to previous levels.
Mm-hmm.
And even so, we are still, whichever party, we still didn't govern by that.
Because we heard that for the special services, and usually special services is an indicator of, I don't know, a microcosm of the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same amount like last time.
Right.
I'm wondering if...
You said it was 57?
57. And last time it was 58.
57%.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The special services. Mm-hmm. Before that was 58. The last one was 58.
Right. Okay. Well, so let's see how it pans out.
You know what I'm wondering? If it's that... So we have these massive stage shows, these are stage shows, these massive stage shows. Remember, 200,000 can't be wrong kind of situation, stage show. But at the end of the day, if you're not registered, if you're not on the voters list, people are going to party, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't go and party, but you really not registered to vote.
Right.
So you're not going away Wednesday morning. But you really don't have no vote.
Right. And I know that happens a lot. I don't know statistically what percentage it forms, but I know it doesn't matter. A lot of persons like the idea of putting on them green or them orange and jump on the
green and orange.
And carry on and you know the day them.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? I will also understand that, you know, some people get us started in the process.
Mm-hmm. Well, we see next week when we come back. One way or the other, we'll have this conversation. Thank you so much, Mr. Begay.
Yes,